Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This is Kiodiekin. So as you guys have all heard in the news and through the forums, Arcade1up is rumored to be releasing Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Time Crisis, and NFL Blitz. Now, this particular video is going to be just about Marvel vs. Capcom 2 because I have a lot of information to cover, and it's really good to follow the news to find out exactly what's possible, what's not possible. And we're also going to cover the conversation and back and forth that I had with John D, who is one of the reps for the company regarding the re-release of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And it's not going to be as easy as you guys think, and if they do decide to try to release the game, you may just be getting a watered down version of it. So we're going to cover all that, and today let's go ahead and get into it. You know what time it is. All right, so a few days ago, somebody posted in one of the online forums from Gamefly that they will be getting several new Arcade1up releases at the end of this year. And one of the biggest titles to hit the market or be mentioned was Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Now, if you guys are familiar with this, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was last released on console in a digital format back in around July of 2009. And currently, really, the only way to play it is, one, if you have it on Xbox 360, PS3, which is what it was initially released on, and then of course if you're playing it on things such as PC or Retropie. Now it is possible to play this over Retropie. A lot of people tend to forget that because RetroArch does have Netlink. You can do it that way. And then of course playing on Xbox 360, as far as the net code, it is a little there is a little delay. I've experienced it quite some often. And then of course, here's a video of me playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on Retropie. This was dated back in, I think this was September or so of 2019 when the Pi 4 first came out. But currently right now, these are the only ways to really emulate the game. And typically right now the best way to play it is through the Xbox 360 or PS3. Now again, the only other way to get it is, number one, if you get a license transfer from somebody who's really cool with you. I've done that a couple of times. In fact, my 3,000 subscriber giveaway included a Xbox 360 unit with all of my virtual downloads. And Ryan Garber, who was the recipient of that, he's a subscriber of the channel. He got it, and he has Marvel vs. Capcom 2. But yeah, you can still transfer that. I still have the ability to do it. But nevertheless, going into this, I had a conversation with John D a few weeks ago on somebody else's channel. And so one of the things that we discussed, there's a big licensing issue going on right now with Disney, Marvel, and the owners. So currently, with ownership rights of his heroes at stake, Marvel sues families of Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and others to keep the rights. So some of you probably haven't seen this article, but what this means is Marvel is maybe losing the rights to Iron Man, Spider-Man, and many other top characters in which they currently have movie deals for. So this isn't a guarantee that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 can just easily be released as you guys may think. So right now, the Dreamcast version, and then of course Retropie, the Xbox 360, you're going to get everything as it is, non-watered down. You're going to get all the moves, you're going to get all the characters, no names, no changing of names for characters, you know, different moves that could typically happen if there's some licensing issues. We're going to take a look at this article, and just to give you guys a quick example about what I'm talking about here as well, here is Shumagorath. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with who Shumagorath is, he is a Marvel character. He was in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and I believe he's a space alien creature. However, this came out several months ago in regards to the licensing in regards to Shumagorath. Disney had to rename him to Gargantos specifically for Doctor Strange 2. Now, if Marvel can't get the rights to Shumagorath, what makes you think anybody else can? And so this is one of the reasons, or why I mentioned about getting a watered down version of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, because if they were to release it, Shuma-Gorath wouldn't be present. I mean, obviously you would have a character there, but his name would be Gargantos and not Shuma-Gorath. Now, the Gargantos name is a combination of a sea-like creature that came out during, I believe it was Submariner's comic book. And so they took that likeness of that character and the name and they gave it to Shuma-Gorath. But yeah, that is technically Shuma-Gorath. But Disney themselves, as all powerful as they are, couldn't get the rights to it because it was created by some other guy who created Conan. But let's get back into this article so you guys can see a little bit about what's going on. Well, with ownership rights of his heroes at stake, Marvel sues families of Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and others. So just a quick synopsis of some of this. Back in, let's see, the copyright laws started back in 1976. And then, of course, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and other people working for Marvel, they went into some type of agreement back in 1978. But anyway, this is coming to a head now. It's about 56 years later. And so the families are suing to keep the rights. Now, something like this happened years ago with Superman, where some attorneys got involved and they were trying to get the rights exclusively back from DC for Superman. Now, in that particular case, DC won, and in fact, all the major head honchos who were involved in that case are now representing Disney to help them keep their rights so they don't lose these characters. Now, specifically speaking, Disney may not lose all the rights to all of these characters. They may have to split profits with some of the family members, but then again, who knows what the family members, may want. Maybe they don't want them appearing in video games, or maybe they want some more money. All of those kinds of things would affect whatever kind of deal goes on with Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So the corporation has sued the families of Marvel legends Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, Don Rico, Don Heck, Larry Lieber, and Gene Colan in order to prevent them from claiming copyrights for a slew of Marvel characters, including Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Hawkeye, Thor, and Black Widow. There are other characters, and of course some of these characters aren't in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but I tried looking up the list for the full names of all the characters that are affected, and right now they're not listed or mentioned anywhere. There's a lot of complicated legal machinations going on here, but we'll try to sum up the key points reported today in a story by The Hollywood Reporter. Reportedly, Disney filed the lawsuits in response to receiving copyright termination notices from the above families, which claim that the rights of the characters should revert to the creators' heirs. Now, again, in other articles, Disney's running scared right now. They are nervous because this potentially can mean that certain movies won't come out or they will lose the rights for it. They are on top of this. In fact, this article came out back in September of 2021. The families of the creators claim that copyright law allows them to reclaim rights once a set amount of time has passed. Disney is arguing that that part of copyright law doesn't apply here, as the creators came up with the characters under a work for hire contract. If the families went out, they will have partial rights to a slew of Marvel characters that are now worth billions. Previous cases, however, have tended to side with the publisher. In 2014, Jack Kirby's family had taken a similar path, and an appeals court in that case had ruled in favor of Disney, saying that Kirby was working for hire. The two parties ultimately settled, with Disney giving the Kirby family an undisclosed amount of money rather than having the case heard by the U.S. Supreme Court. DC has also faced a similar case. This is what I mentioned earlier with Superman creators Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster trying and failing with their own termination notice. For Disney, the legendary Marvel method, where authors and artists collaborated on creating comic book issues, works in the corporation's favor, as the system makes it hard to assign ownership to a specific individual. So chances are these cases will be ruled in Disney's favor or settle out of court. If the families win, however, Disney would still hold on to some rights to the characters and be able to control and profit from any ventures they have outside of the United States. So what does all this mean for the average Marvel fan? If Disney wins, things will keep chugging along as usual. If the families win, Disney will no longer have full control over major characters, meaning that at best they'd have to negotiate and share profits to any future MCU films with these characters to potentially decide to stop using them completely. Cases like these, however, often take years, so there's still a lot of time before we may see an impact to how Disney Marvel does business. So this is set to expire in June of 2023, so nothing right now is set in stone. We also have another article here pretty much saying the same thing. Could Marvel lose full ownership of Spider-Man, Avengers, and new lawsuits? So again, this is set to expire in June 2023, which makes things very difficult and very complicated. So again, I want to show you guys something else really quickly. This is the spoiler alert that was posted a few months ago. So this was even before Shuma-Gorath came out. People were like, hey, who the heck is this character? So this Lego character came out with Shuma-Gorath. Well, I'm sorry, Gargantos fighting Wong and Doctor Strange. This is what got everybody's attention, and people were like, hey, what is going on here? You know, as far as you know, this comic book character. Let me see here. No, that's not it. Let me pull it back up here. But yeah, this is what got everybody's attention. Why is he called Gargantos instead of Shuma-Gorath? And so this is what triggered everybody here. And then of course I just read you guys the article. You guys saw this Twitch video or video on Twitter with Wong fighting Shuma-Gorath, but it's actually Gargantos. So the license for this was oh, here's the article here. We can kind of backtrack here. Shuma-Gorath name changed to Gargantos in Doctor Strange 2 explained. So at first glance, Marvel fans momentarily noticed that the Suicide Squad hero Starro had hopped into Phantom's Doctor Strange 2. I'll go ahead and skip down to the bottom. We explain why the tentacle being in Doctor Strange 2 trailer has been renamed Gargantos despite the creature sporting Shuma-Gorath's design. Directed by the auteur of the first Spider-Man trilogy, Sam Raimi, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is said to be Marvel's first dip into the horror genre and is considered a grand ensemble feature starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Elizabeth Olsen, and several other people here. Let me see if it's up here. All right, so when the multiverse villain Shuma-Gorath first appeared in MCU, starring during What If Episode 1, fans immediately identified the creature. So the second appearance of the alien lord occurred during the trailer for Doctor Strange 2, confirming that the animated Disney Plus series had been preparing us for what was to come. However, a Marvel Lego set, which is what I just showed you guys a few minutes ago, featuring the monster, Doctor Strange, Wong, and America Chavez, has changed the one-eyed being's name to Gargantos, leaving fans quite confused. So here's why Marvel decided on the name change. Shuma-Gorath is known to be an iconic adversary to Doctor Strange from Marvel Comics, making its appearance in the film sequel completely just. However, Marvel does not own the rights to the name Shuma-Gorath, as it was coined by Pulp Fiction writer Robert E. Howard, the Conan the Barbarian author who created Shuma-Gorath long before the Marvel Universe was established. So again, even if any video game company right now tried to re-release Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and give you guys the true game in all of its sense without it being watered down, it can't. It can't. And this is a conversation I had with John D a few weeks ago. It's apparent that since Marvel cannot use the name Shuma-Gorath, it decided to make a hybrid comic Shuma-Gorath's design with Gargantos title. So this is the character that was featured in Submariner's comic books. And so I just wanted to jump back here to this. This was a back and forth that I had with John D. It was all pleasant and stuff. We were just having a quick chat. And so let's see here. This was, we were talking about Marvel vs. Capcom 1. This was on somebody else's video. Kiodiekin, which predates Arcade1up. It worked on that. I worked on that title, by the way. My initial statement was Mvc2 was available to purchase on Xbox Live. The others were. I missed the Xbox Live Arcade release around 2010. It had all the great stuff. Too bad WrestleFest was canceled. And then down here, He responds, will the Marvel series appear on any other platform besides Arcade1up? I bet $1 million it won't. Well, I got a question mark about that. I'll get into that a little bit later. I won't need it. I got them all on Xbox 360. People still play a lot of Mvc2 online. And so then again, he responds back, the only way to currently play Mvc2 online legally, of course, Xbox 360 or PS3. Not saying you need to, just replying that Origins arrived before Arcade1up. Currently, the only company that has the license to Marvel vs. Or Marvel X Capcom series. Okay, we'll keep moving on from there. Then of course down here I said, John D, that's good. The Xbox versions are very unique, and I don't see the Versus series being reproduced the correct way like Xbox released them. Leaderboards, all games upscaled to high definition, and none of them were modified beyond the normal game due to licensing issues. Even subtle things like Shumagorath, if Arcade1up released a Marvel vs. Capcom 2, would have a name change to Gargantua. It was actually the other name that I told you guys about. Gargantua, due to licensing, not even Disney, Doctor Strange 2 can get this original name. And then of course he said, yeah, you're not wrong. Live action Shumagorath looks dope though. So again, because of these lawsuits, because of all the new name changes and things that Disney doesn't even have access to, there's no way in high hell that Arcade1up could release Marvel vs. Capcom 2 without it being watered down in some shape, form, or fashion. So I want to show you guys something else really quickly, because I'm not sure if this is what he was alluding to, or if this is, well, I know this is some additional information. This was announced last year, but I'm not sure if this is what he was kind of hinting to, was this right here. Developers reportedly in talks for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 revival project. So the original devs that worked on the last console for Xbox 360 and PS3, they've been in talks. They contacted Disney and Marvel and want to remake an upscale high definition version of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Now again, we already know Shumagorath's name would have to be changed to Gargantua or some other type of name. And then of course we are up in arms about all these other characters, especially on the Marvel side, because of the pending lawsuits with the Ditko family and Stan Lee's family. So unless we're all being taken for a ride, one of the most beloved fighting games of all time, of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, might be in a line for a fresh revival. So again, not sure if John D was hinting towards this, but this has nothing to do with Arcade1up, and this would be coming directly to console. So for those of you looking to spend your money and you're maybe just looking to get a newer version of it, this might be it. If Arcade1up can re-release Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in some fashion with the lawsuits going on, I don't see why the developer would not be allowed to release it. So they are in talks to do something. We've began some discussions on that right now, and we're trying to see how far we can go. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it is really not up to us, said DE's Mike Mika. Digital Eclipse was the last company that worked on Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So we have some commentary here from a video. I'm just going to take a few snippets of it. So all we can really do is just make the best case possible and try to make it easy for them to see if they're interested.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about this whole resurgence of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Obviously you guys did, I said I don't want to call it a port because I don't feel that's the correct term, but you did the remaster, the re-release of it, and it was fantastic, and it was taken off. What's going on with that IP? I mean, obviously it's not up to you, correct? It's up to Disney and Capcom to make some kind of agreement.
Yeah, and it's like, in some ways, because we're the last ones to touch that game, we feel like kind of like the kid that maybe is part of a divorce or just like a crazy couple. Like, whatever's going on, like, I don't have any insight between Capcom and Disney. I know them both pretty well. They're, like, great to work with. And so the opportunity, when we did this fundraiser and we raised this money, I asked, I didn't know what I was getting into. I asked online, what should we be pursuing? What kind of games should we try to do? And what's Max's like handle online? Maximilian Dude, is that? Yeah. He mentioned Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and that blew up. Like, he did a great video on that, and like I can't even read my public email or any of my Twitter direct messages without like having to sift through hundreds of MVC2, free MVC2 messages from people, which is amazing. But it's like, oh my God, the reaction was incredible. And I know that both Disney and Capcom have seen that loud and clear. And we've begun some discussions on that right now, and we're trying to see how far we can go. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's really not up to us. It's owned, parts of that are owned by two different really kind of like large entities that have a lot of reasons why they would want or not want to do some of that we are not privy to. And so all we can really do is just make the best case possible and try to make it easy for them and see if they're interested.
All right, guys, so there you have it. So you have the ball, you have Capcom, you have Disney, you have Marvel, and then of course now you have all of these other recipients of the copyrights who they would fall to in terms of Stan Lee's family, the Ditko family, and then of course Schumacher-Graff's name. So you have many different parties in play. So that's pretty much it and what wraps it up for the whole scenario about Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Can it be re-released in all of its glory? Most likely not. It's going to be watered down, and of course we're not even talking about music and other intellectual properties that are involved with this. But unfortunately, I don't have a full list of all the copyrights and names that are involved in that lawsuit. We do know of Thor, we know of I'm sorry, not Thor, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Schumacher-Graff, but potentially, you know, there's others. But they have their work cut out for him. Now, if John D could work something out like this, then yeah, then he would be a miracle maker. But that's not going to happen. I mean, again, Marvel has the rights now to Schumacher-Graff, and they couldn't even get the names for it. They had to change the name. So there you guys have it. There is Marvel vs. Capcom 2 licensing and all the issues that are arising right now with licenses, copyrights, and who owns what. But we'll have to wait and see exactly what comes out towards, you know, the end of what is it? I think it was the end of this year that that announcement was made, or what the potential release date was for the next, you know, Cavs for NFL Blitz, Time Crisis, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. But yeah, there's too many working parts to it. But right now, if you want to have Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in all of its glory, the only way to really have it without it being watered down, without any moves being taken out, Dreamcast, you can play it through Naomi on Retropie. And then of course, if somebody likes myself, you know, does a license transfer to you on an Xbox 360, which stays on there permanently for the life of the Xbox. I've had people ask me about that. But I do have an Xbox for sale if you guys want it. It has on my entire history, and it does have Marvel vs. Capcom 2. But at any rate, that's pretty much my synopsis and the whole scoop on Marvel vs. Capcom 2 Arcade1up, the real. And I'm glad you guys heard it here, because all these facts, you guys can sit here and read it for yourself. I'll include links for everything that I'm showing here in the description of this video, so you guys can get familiar with it. But are you going to get Marvel vs. Capcom 2? The whole kit and caboodle without it being watered down? More than likely not. I mean, there's no, absolutely not. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think below. Ciao. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.